Browsing the web has become a daily occurrence for most of us, and for some of us, it's become a requirement of our jobs. So using a web browser that can make it quick and easy to access a website that you need can really improve your web browsing experience. Safari 4, which is introduced in Snow Leopard, is the latest version of Apple's web browser and adds a bunch of new features to improve your web browsing experience. Let's take a look at what's new in Safari. One of the features that you're seeing in most modern web browsers is a feature called tabbed browsing. And fortunately, Safari is no different. Tabbed browsing allows you to have a tab for each site that you want to access and view instead of having a separate window for each site. Let's take a look at how tabbed browsing works. I'm going to come down to the dock and I'm going to click on the Safari icon to launch Safari on my computer. Now, my default home page is the apple.com start page, but if you've reconfigured Safari and changed the preferences, you might be looking at a different web page. So if you want to follow along, just type in apple.com/start page to get to the same page that I'm looking at. Now, please be aware that the sites I'll be showing are not necessarily endorsed by Total Training and may be different by the time you're watching this series, but just watch along and try this with either these sites or any others that you wish. Now let's say I'm browsing the web and I decide, oh, you know what, I'd like to do a Google search or I'd like to go to a different website. Instead of going to the File menu and choosing New Window, which is going to open up a completely separate window and it's going to create a fairly unwieldy browsing experience, you can instead create a new tab. So I'm going to close this window, and instead of creating a new window, I'm going to go to File and choose New Tab. And you're going to see what happens is a new tab is created within the same window. So within the address bar, I'm going to type totaltraining.com. And that's going to direct me to the Total Training website. Now, if I decide later on that I want to go back to the Apple page, I just click on the tab and I'm right back to that website. A shortcut to create a new tab is Command T. So if I type Command T on my keyboard, once again that's going to add a new tab on my computer. So let's take a look at another training website. I'm going to go to www.agitraining.com, and that will redirect me to the AGI training website. So once again, I can click through and browse multiple tabs very efficiently and quickly. Now let's say I'm looking at a web page. Let's go back to the Apple page. And I decide that, oh, you know what, I want to check out more information about this magic mouse. One of the things that I'm often frustrated with is that if I click that link, it's going to direct me away from the page that I was just on. But once again, I may want to stay at that page and revisit it again quickly and easily. So I'm going to hit the back button on my browser bar, and instead of simply clicking on the link, I'm going to hold the Command key down on my keyboard as I click that magic mouse link. And sure enough, what that's going to do is open a new tab with that link inside of it. So it makes it very easy for you to navigate and go from one website to another very quickly and easily. Again, if I wanted to have a separate tab for my Google searches, I can do a Command T and I can do a Google search for whatever I might want to do. Let's do a search for Total Training. Once again, you can see that all the results appear in its own tab, and I can keep browsing back and forth. If I'm on a tab and I decide, you know what, I think I'm done with this website, if you hover your cursor along the left side of that tab, you'll see a small X appear. And if I click that X, it will close that tab, but leave the other tabs open. You're going to want to be careful when you go to close the main browser window. You're going to get a message saying you've got 4 tabs open. Do you still want to close it? So that's a little protective reminder to let you know, hey, you've got several websites open. I don't want you to lose it. Now, let's say, for example, you did close it and you didn't want to. I'm going to go to the Safari menu and I'm going to choose Quit Safari. and it gives me the warning, but I'm in a rush and I hit quit. And after I do so, I think, oh boy, I had all those websites put in tabs. Do I really want to get rid of them? I'd really like to be able to get them back. So let's take a look at how we can do that. If I reopen Safari, under the History menu, I can choose Reopen All Windows from Last Session. And when I do that, it's going to reopen that browser window with each tab still intact. So it's a great way to protect yourself from inadvertently losing all those sites that you've utilized in the tabbed